Alright, switching over to Capture Age. Alright, so we got Charon's perspective here first. So Charon is scripted by Mr. Elephant, who has been with the AI scripting community for quite a while, especially in is kind of like one of our experts on like all the different versions of AIs, especially the older ones that have been released in the past. He helped SC with the Davis Cup 7. And Charon is his Age of Kings AI, or at least it was used to be an Age of Kings only AI, where you could use it on DE, but it would play Age of Kings, where you had the 50 villager limit, and of course limited to Age of Kings civilizations. The King AI also has the same restrictions. However, very recently, Mr. Elephant has been working on making it compatible for the user patch version 1.1. And so this user patch compatible version of Charon is what we're watching today for the tournament and for the rest of the tournament. I don't know if he's in the chat, but maybe he could kind of talk about what he's going for with his Charon AI. In the meanwhile, we have Sederhana here playing Aztecs. And Sederhana is by one of the newer scripters in our community, Krupak, who is from Indonesia. I think this AI plays with the Conquerors civilizations, the original 18. And so this is his first tournament. So it's always fun to see new AIs join. So taking a look at both AIs here, both AIs have Loom. The Goths have the bonus to be able to research Loom instantly, so I think that's why Charon is a villager ahead. And looks like Charon doesn't have any boar luring code yet, but is able to use a few user patch commands from the version 1.1. Got a far lumber camp here. If Krupak is aggressive, this lumber camp could be targeted pretty quickly. Meanwhile, we've got lumber camp here that's also somewhat forward, but a little bit more protected for Sederhana, and of course the mill in the back. So Charon is known for having an aggressive man-at-arms rush, which I think is still true about the AI today. But I think one of the nice things about user patches is you have abilities to retreat from town center fire, so that definitely helps the AI quite a lot. But Sederhana, due to the fact that it's a newer AI, I don't know its strategies quite as well. And Sederhana face against Tribal, which is a pretty hard AI to face in your first round, so we didn't really get to see much of Sederhana's playstyle. So it looks like Sederhana's about to find Charon. Yeah, so found the two houses, I think. And Charon is going for the boar lure, but it might be with strategic numbers only, which I think makes sense based on what was possible in user patch 1.1. We also got a deer mill here for Charon. Meanwhile, Sederhana has a pretty typical Conqueror's build. One thing to note is that Charon did have a fair amount of idle TC time, which is unfortunate. It's curious to see what resources are looking like so far. AI is getting better at economy. So it looks like Sederhana is getting further ahead. Once this boar meat is dropped off, it might start equalizing here between both players. So I think Charon's confirming for us that he'll play Man-at-Arms. Maybe he has other strategies for other civs, but he's playing only Goths in this tournament, which I think is usually his best civ. Got a mining camp for Sederhana. Still haven't seen a mining camp for Charon. Yeah, I can see the resources here. I'm just trying to, when I was going to the scoreboard, it was to kind of see who's getting ahead over time. I kind of like seeing the graph there. So it looks like Charon never really did catch up with Sederhana. But we are seeing the second board being gathered for Charon. And I don't know if Sederhana will try to gather the spore. I'm thinking not. But it is interesting that Sederhana goes for a second mill. Maybe that's for farms? I'm not exactly sure. I don't know if the AI engine has code to place mills by bores. That's something I've never looked into. I don't think it does. So that could just be like a randomly placed mill here. It would have been nice if it was placed by the deer instead. Alright, so we got a barracks for Sederhana. Charon's just reached feudal age. Sederhana's a villager behind, but also, or villager ahead, one villager slower to feudal age. Alright, Charon's got a defensive watchtower. No soldiers yet. We've got a stone mining camp from Sederhana. And Sederhana has all of the economy upgrades coming in. I'm not sure if Sederhana tries to go for a fast castle. We'll see if that's the case, or if Sederhana likes to do extend the feudal age out a bit more. Alright, looks like Charon finally finished the second bore. Going back to these forage bushes. But Charon's going to need some new farms here very soon. But also, it seems like Charon has a bunch of food anyway. Just lacking the gold to start going up to Castle Age. The fact that he's not making any swordsmen, I'm thinking is... yeah, he's probably trying to wait until Castle Age to start training them. Alright, there's Castle Age for Charon being started. Sederhana looks like it has the resources, but not the buildings. So you get the archer range constructed, and then we might see Castle Age start for Sederhana. Alright, second barracks for Charon. Researching Man-at-Arms, double bit axe. And Charon has found Sederhana. Alright, so we got a forward tower placed by Charon. We'll see if Sederhana finds it. Doesn't have any military to spot it. Or to try to knock it down, but Sederhana might try to knock it down with villagers. Oh, we got a wolf that will try to stop the tower rush. So I think we'll see this villager kill the wolf and then go back to the town. Alright, Charon's got a market, got long swordsmen, but has started training long swordsmen instead of spears. And now it's pikemen. Or started training spearmen instead of swordsmen. Alright, but it looks like the tower has started. And we also have... Alright, so the Sederhana is probably going to have found this tower, but I'm not sure if he'll react to it just yet. I think if it had some soldiers, they might start running to try and knock it down. Alright, so the tower's up, but not really doing anything just yet. We'll see if it kills this monk before the relic gets into the monastery. Yeah, it looks like the tower just kept on missing. Alright, so that monk is going to be safe. So far, Charon's tower rush is not doing anything yet. But we do have some swordsmen being trained by Charon, as well as some pikemen. So far, Sederhana doesn't have any defensive soldiers, so we'll have to wait until it starts adding them. Alright, the monk's getting hit this time. Yeah, I think it'll die. I think it'll die. Okay, that is one lucky monk. Alright, so we got the attack started by Charon. We do have a defensive skirmisher and an archer from Sederhana, but Sederhana is pretty far behind in military right now. Got a third tower being placed by Charon. Something I never really liked is that build forward always makes sure that the towers are not in range of each other when they're built forward. I've never really understood why that was the case. I suppose it's trying to like space them out so that it covers the whole town, but it's just like so important to get towers to be able to defend each other. I think that's something that Ensemble Studios just didn't know about the meta for how towers get placed. And they went for something that was actually not the smart approach. But anyway, right now Charon is able to push against Sederhana without too much resistance so far. We got the monastery burned down and the mining camp almost burned down as well. Alright, finally found the pavilion. Now you're talking about Aleph. Reminds me of when some really old AIs, before user patch, they would actually build the pavilion as their second house because you couldn't build more than one type of building at once. So you couldn't build two houses at the start, you can only build one house, but you could build a house and a pavilion. So I think that's how some AI scripters would get around that. I think it was mostly just used for deathmatch. but sometimes you saw it on random map games as well. The unfortunate thing is that pavilions cost 100 wood, so it's like basically never worth it, especially with user patch. So I don't know why Charon built one, but there you go. Alright, so we got a castle from Sederhana. Unfortunately, it's not near the towers that Charon placed, so it can't really defend the town all that well. But I'm guessing that this castle is just placed with normal AI scripting rules without, like, the more advanced user patch stuff. So I think Charon is just waiting for it to be able to launch the second attack. And this castle, if Charon discovers it, might actually delay it a little bit longer. Alright, so Charon hasn't discovered it yet. But I don't know. I think with this military advantage, Charon should probably start attacking again soon. Meanwhile, Sederhana is starting to fight back against this tower. And we got a Jaguar Warrior with the Obsidian Makana. I found it interesting that DE added a special sound effect just for the Jaguar Warrior. I think it's kind of cool. Alright, Sederhana going for the next tower. Hopefully Charon decides to attack again before all of these towers are destroyed. Or before it sends all of its villagers to get killed. Got a little dancing pikeman here. Alright, so it looks like Charon wasn't just waiting for the second armor. I wonder what it's waiting for. Maybe some siege? Still hasn't discovered Sederhana's castles. Alright, we got a first attack from Sederhana, but these Eagle Warriors are going to die pretty quickly. They're not even upgraded to Eagle Warrior. I'd actually have to check and see if Sederhana has the Eagle Warrior upgrade, because I think this AI was made with the Conquerors in mind, since it only can play those 18 civs. So maybe the Aztecs don't have the Eagle Warrior upgrade scripted for them, which would be pretty unfortunate. So let's see, how many... So, Sederhana has 11 Dragon Warriors. If it gets enough of them, and especially if it gets the lead upgrade, those could do some pretty big damage against Charon's army with their new extra attack. Another important thing here is I think even though Charon is like added support for user patch 1.1. I think it still limits itself to the 50 villager limit. I'm not exactly sure how it got to up to 52, but I think by 51. I guess I lost a villager trying to build a tower. But the longer this game goes on, the bigger chance that Sederhana has of being able to win the game. So Charon really needs to attack soon here. Might be waiting for Imperial Age to get like a champion or something like that, which I don't know if that's soon enough. I got block printing from Sederhana, which isn't really that important right now. It's a nice upgrade, but I don't think Sederhana is really going for a lot of monks. Oh, 5 monks, not too bad. I guess we also got it up here. Another villager goes down. Alright, so I was about to say we should probably get Elite Skirmisher here pretty soon, but it's being researched now. So it looks like Sederhana is trying to add more monk techs and maybe more monks as well, yep. Alright. So let's see. From what I can tell, it looks like... Okay, so Charon is trying to chase down this monk here. We might finally have an attack from Charon here. So, looks like Charon's winning this attack. But does it have enough soldiers to be able to actually like cause some damage against Sederhana's town? I think is the question. It doesn't have enough resources to get 2 Anti-Swordsmen yet. So right now the soldiers on the field are kind of neck and neck, but Sederhana is getting a little bit ahead. And it looks like Charon's starting to build a palisade wall. Which I don't know. I'm not sure that's not really... I don't think it's really going to do that much to defend against Sederhana here. But I think Charon's time window has passed to be able to cause good damage in attack against Sederhana. Sederhana's ahead in military and also economy, and also has units to counter Charon's army with the Jaguar Warrior. And skirmishers seem to be helping as well, plus crossbows. So we might see Sederhana take this one. I think this new stabbing animation was added recently. I don't recognize it. It's kind of cool. I think there was a patch a while ago where it talked about like melee infantry or just like melee soldiers in general being added like more attack animations. So that's nice. Alright, so it looks like Sederhana might be attacking again. My guess is this is actually like the enemy-sided response distance, where they're reacting to soldiers getting attacked a certain distance away. That seems like maybe like 20 tiles or something. That's a pretty far distance. More than I would suggest setting that strategic number 2. Yeah, so Charon advanced to Imperial Age, but so far hasn't been able to get any Imperial Age upgrades. So unfortunately, all those 1800 resources seem to have gone to waste. Alright, here we go. Looks like an attack from Sederhana has been started. Like an attack for real with all of its soldiers. So maybe we'll see these towers get knocked down. So far it seems like Sederhana has a similar problem with not being able to get the Imperial Age upgrades. Okay, so it did get the last infantry armor upgrade, so that's good. But yeah, 80, 88, 89 military against 10 for Charon. It's unfortunate. It looks like it might use attack now instead of like TSA or attack groups, because these newly trained soldiers aren't being sent into battle. Looks like Sederhana has a long-distance gold mining here. It has the wood for a mining camp, but doesn't seem to be building one. I'm just looking around to see if maybe it has another mining camp that's close to some gold, but doesn't look like it. Anyway, looks like we're seeing a slow push with ranged units from Sederhana. Yeah, we got another attack started, it looks like. Or they might just be gathering around and a newly constructed building. Okay, now we're attacking. Yeah, this looks like a good old attack now, attack formation. Looks like Charon has a castle. It's kind of up to the side, so it's not going to offer too much of a defense. Looks like Sederhana does have a ram, but it'd be nice to have a bit more than one ram to be able to take out the castle. Alright, that's GG. So, I think the story was Charon was ahead for a long time, but wasn't able to take its advantage to win the game. So now we're on to the game 2. Charon is still Goths, while Sederhana is a random civ for Arena, and that's random for the Conqueror's civs. So this time I'm going to try and use this site. I think you can't automatically like give the expansion, so just select all the ones that can play. Alright, so we got Spanish for Sederhana. Decent enough pick for Arena, I think. Maybe not super special. I'm not sure that Sederhana would really be able to use its like unique unit that well. Alright, but here we go. Let's start the game on Arena. And Charon does not like walls. So, deletes them, all except for the gates. I kind of wonder if maybe Charon has a delete building like gate code, but maybe delete gates doesn't actually like, since there's a whole bunch of different kinds of gate objects, it doesn't actually work for every single type of gate. So I wonder if that's why the gates are still left behind. Alright, so I'm curious if maybe we'll see some different behavior in this game. Maybe Charon will be able to use its large army a bit more aggressively. I'll see if the Arabia game was kind of a fluke. If someone kind of scared it away from attacking, or maybe that's just kind of how Charon tends to play. I'm kind of surprised that Charon didn't research Loom right away. Maybe that's just like Charon not having something specific for Goss with the Loom research rules, and maybe Rena doesn't research it immediately. But Sederhana researched it already. Alright, looks like Sederhana missed one of the sheep, and these two sheep right here. We also have a chicken map, so I don't know, neither AI pushes deer, so it's not going to be that big of a deal for their build orders. But we'll see if any of them decide to build a build on them, or if they'll decide to just eventually gather them from a far distance. Yeah, so we did see Charon go for a chicken mill, which is nice. We have Sederhana gathering chickens from afar. Still hasn't found these sheep, though that kind of hurts. Also got this sheep missing here. And the scout is already the way out here, so it might not be finding the sheep anytime soon. If I remember right, these brown bears are going to have changed stats in the new patch. So next patch will have 30 HP. So make going out into the center a tiny bit more dangerous for AIs. But as long as you're not bringing villagers out there, it shouldn't be a problem. I know that my AI likes to go out and kill them off, so we'll see if that changes anything. Probably not. So we got Sederhana still on 1 mill and 1 lumber camp. Charon says not all sheep were found. And I think Charon is wrong. I don't see any sheep that weren't claimed properly. So, unless maybe not all of Charon's sheep were generated, which would seem quite strange, but perhaps not unheard of. So Charon's going up to feudal age. Sederhana just now started going up to feudal age. And Charon detects that. So Sederhana just found these 2 sheep and still missing this one in the back. Alright, I think it's chicken time for Charon. But we'll see if Charon can add some farms here pretty soon. So we got a mining camp from Charon. Looks like he's using the user patch feature to build it adjacent to the mines, which for gold I think is actually not what you want. Usually you want, I think, 1 tile away. But at least he's able to use it. So we got an archer range coming this time for Charon. I don't think we saw any ranged units at all last game from Charon. And so we still need okay, we just got a barracks from Charon, but we still need plenty of gold before Charon can go to the Castle Age. Alright, Sederhana has reached feudal age. No buildings to follow up with because he doesn't have enough wood, and probably been constructing all the farms and getting the ecotechs. Which on a passive map like this, it's not too much of a big deal. Of course, ideally you'd want to have enough resources so you could plant your buildings down immediately and then get your enough buildings and resources to go up to Castle Age. Assuming you're fast castling, of course. So we got the blacksmith for Sederhana. Just waiting for the second building. And I think Charon has the resources to go up to Castle Age, so we should see it coming right after this villager. Yep, there we go. Alright, so we got a second barracks from Charon and a man-at-arms upgrade. And I'm curious if, yeah, we already have the tower constructed here. I'm guessing we'll see more than just this one tower eventually, but we don't have the stone for it. And Charon needs the second mining camp for the stone. I wonder if it's saving the wood for something else. I see, so maybe that barracks. But we still have enough wood for the mining camp. This defensive tower is probably not needed for arena. Let's see. Is this man-at-arms an explorer or an attacker? We got an attack started. Not that wall. Let's see. Is it this one? Yes. So Sederhana has no military units trained except for the scouts, so my guess is that Charon's going to be able to break here relatively soon. The Goths have the bonus for infantry against buildings. We got a monastery going up for Charon, and a longsword upgrade, which should help even more. Looks like Sederhana's scout's going to go down. So funnily enough, we might see a more aggressive Charon on Arena than we do on Arabia. Got a bear chasing down what looks like to be a scouting... Okay, never mind. The swordsman's going to defend himself. So do the... looks like the swordsmen have no upgrades yet. We got a second tower about to get started. Hi, Mason Windu. Glad to see you here. So, I'm not exactly sure why Charon likes to delete all of the walls for Arena. One thing that AIs often struggle with is making sure that its buildings stay within the arena walls, and then controlling when units go inside and out of gates. So I guess the AI scripter of Charon decided just to not have to worry about it. But I think most AIs will keep their walls up because that's kind of important for Arena. It depends, and then the size of the community. We've got 20 different AIs in this tournament from about I think 15 different AI scripters. No, it's not 15 AI scripters. I'd say it's about a dozen different AI scripters having an AI in this tournament. So I wouldn't say it's like a huge community, but it's definitely one where we have some activity going. And so this is a tournament where you face your opponent on Arabia and then also on Arena. Alright, so the Charon's swordsmen are hitting the lumber camp here against Sederhana. Sederhana still doesn't have any defense units, but it is starting to train an archer, which won't do much against these swordsmen, at least not yet. So we'll see if the Charon is able to get his infantry away from... Okay. He detected the arrows from the TC as being able to flee away. So, some things to say about these AIs. Charon was first made to be like an Age of Kings only AI, where you can only go up to 50 villagers and not use any of the more advanced AI features that have been added since the original release. But most recently, it added support for some of the early user patch commands from like 2011, 2012, 2013. And that included the ability to flee away from town centers when it fires arrows. And then Sederhana is an AI that I think is made mostly for the Conquerors expansion. So just for the original 18 civilizations. So I would say neither of these AIs are terribly advanced. Maybe they can kind of show you what AIs were kind of like at a more like basic part of their history. Doesn't necessarily mean that they're like not fun to watch, but you won't see them at AIs at their most advanced play. But Charon's attack here is starting to look pretty lethal here. If he can get enough swordsmen to kind of mass up and cause enough damage and then eventually destroy the TC. Alright, let's see how these swordsmen do. I'm not sure if Charon will have researched arson. I don't think it would have. Yeah, I can't check within capture age. Let me check within the game here. I can actually bring the point of view over to the game. Yeah, actually, Goths don't get arson. I should have remembered that. Anyway. Anyway, we still have a bunch of swordsmen killing villagers underneath the TC. The swordsmen still don't have any armor, which is kind of unfortunate. Hopefully with this size of army, Charon would have had both of the armor upgrades researched for the swordsmen. Prioritize that over additional training. But I think this TC is going to go down anyway. We got a conversion of one of the swordsmen, but I think this monk is probably going to go down here. Yeah, so it looks like Charon's attack has been killed off for the most part, escaping its military here at home. It has been really fun to kind of see AIs develop over the years. I think I started AI scripting back in 2009, and when AIs, a lot of them kind of looked like this in behavior, and then over time AI scripting has advanced to the point where we can see AIs with grouped archer micro attacking 3 different targets all at once. I think some of those AIs have been shown off on the Viper's streams or on Spirit of the Law. So it's kind of cool to see AIs grow and develop. But unlike some games, the AI scripting in this game has to be done all by hand. It's not like there aren't really any sort of tools to do more of a deep learning kind of AI, where the AI kind of figures out how to play on its own. All of it's kind of done by hand by a human person. Alright, so I guess these bears are going to kind of stop chasing these swordsmen, maybe. Well, I guess one's going to get into the tower and it's going to die. Too bad for the bear. So I think we've seen Sederhana hurt pretty bad, but it's right now it's been able to prepare its TC for the most part. And Charon will need to attack again pretty soon. I think in the previous game we saw it be too passive and then just like never attack. And by that time, Sederhana was boomed up a bit too much for it to be able to cause damage. So Sederhana now has a military, but these towers might be a bit difficult for it to take down. And archers aren't really the units to take down towers. But these light cavalry might slowly start taking them down along with that knight. So we got elite skirmisher coming, and the first armor upgrade for the infantry finally. We've got a castle in the back here for Charon. So this tower is going to go down, but this tower's probably killed off a bunch of units here. Yeah, it looks like Charon killed off 26 villagers, which is quite a lot. Let's see, those villagers killed off the boy. But they might get retasked to something else, we'll see. Okay, they go back to gathering stone, which is nice. Yeah, I think we'll see Sederhana slowly destroy these towers. So just a matter of seeing if Charon's able to start attacking again. Okay, it might have happened, or they might just be coming to try to make sure this barracks goes up. Yeah, something you can do is tell your AI units to go toward a building foundation and try to make gather nearby to make sure it's defended. Alright, interesting. I think once Sederhana finds this tower, it's probably going to get destroyed. I think it'd probably be best if Charon turns off the tower construction either after the first attack or only do it while it's attacking. But yeah, I think we saw in the last game it just loses a lot of villagers and resources trying to build towers. But yeah, we need Charon needs to start attacking again. But we've got Imperial Age coming, and we'll see. Charon might be able to have the resources to upgrade its units in Imperial Age this time. Yeah, I'm not sure what Charon's rules are, that the conditions it has to have in order to attack. Judges from the last couple games, it seems to be a bit too passive in deciding when to attack. Yeah, I think we have a few different guides on how to get started with AI scripting. I think it usually helps to have a little bit of programming language, but this is actually the first programming language that I learned. So it's definitely not impossible to learn. Alright, looks like we might have an attack started from Charon. So we'll see if Sederhana has enough military units to defend itself. My guess is this won't be enough to defend from Charon's army. I think this is Charon's game to lose at this point. If things go the way they should be, this will be an even split between these two AIs. Alright, we've got two-handed swordsmen being researched for Charon. That should really help. We also have enough resources for Charon to research Champion or Elite Huscarl. Alright, two-handed swordsman. Ah, champions are coming. Yeah, so I think with those two upgrades being researched, the two-handed swordsman and champion, I think this will be the last attack of the game. It should succeed. Once those swordsmen reach the TC, that TC is going to get down really fast. And Charon's building his walls again. Alright, but Sederhana's down to 5 pop. I'm going to call it. Good game for Charon. I've got a 1-1 split for this set. Yeah, I haven't heard of that yet, Mason Windu. The MIT's battle code. So let's take a look at the statistics here. So, looks like Charon was really dominating this game from about this point onward. Military numbers. Resources collected. And then villager numbers. Alright, switching over to this game to see the game stats.